Right, hopefully I've just turned the mic on. That'll be a good start. Right, let's just try and load up the chat box a minute. Just see if we're live. Let's have a look. Right, can someone in the chat box type see if you can hear me at all? I'm just trying to find the stream on my phone so I can follow along with the chat. Oh, it's because I've got it bloody unlisted and Right, let's see if this works. Okay. Right. First mistake I made was not turning the mic on, which would help. I'm just going to try and find the stream. Oh, there we go. Hopefully on here. Turn the volume down. Essex True Crime, Mr. Roy. Can you just tell me if the levels are okay? Because I haven't used this mic in about a year. I can't remember what settings I had it on, but let me know if the sound's okay. It's not too loud and whatever else. Good evening, Mr. Boxing UK. Yeah, just let us know if the audio's okay, the sound and everything. Coming to you live from the dining room this evening, so hopefully this is all right. Sarah Louise, welcome to you. JJ, good evening, sir. Good evening to you. Got the old JD and Coke on the go. Excellent, right, that's good. Yeah, we'll give it like about 3 or 4 minutes and then we'll crack on with the viewers' questions. I always get nervous when I do these things for some reason. Even when I used to do them frequently, you know, like I used to do like 2 or 3 a week, didn't I, at one point? But yeah, I'm sure it'll all be fine. Who else have we got here? Michael Garland, welcome to you. I'll also be giving a shout out to the members of the channel. I did promise I was going to do that a long time ago, but I've written them all down, so I'll be doing that later on in the show. Essex True Crime and Mr. Roy keeping us afloat this evening as the moderators. Many thanks for your help, otherwise literally this wouldn't have gone ahead tonight. So Lenny Russell, thank you, sir. Got your question coming up later. You always ask some really good questions, Lenny. I remember your questions from the previous live streams. So yeah, your question's coming up later on. Bit quiet, Mr. Roy says. Bloody hell, he's a bloody perfectionist, isn't he? Hang on, where's the game button on here? Hang on. Where is it? There we go, gain. Let's turn this up to like there. Right, is that any better? Let me know if that's okay. I did not say McGarden. Don't think so anyway. Yeah, let us know if the sound's okay. Evening, Mel. Hope you're doing well. Mark Pryor. Welcome to you, sir. Yeah, as I say, we'll give it like 3 or 4 minutes, then we'll get into the viewers' questions. Interestingly, I got a really good email from someone. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. I haven't actually gone through it all yet. I might actually make a video about this. It's just a guy who emailed me randomly with some quite interesting thoughts about the case. Some different possibilities, so I might do a separate video literally just based on that email, or I may save it until the next live stream, which hopefully I'm planning for this Saturday, all being well. Hopefully tonight we'll go for around about an hour, discuss the case a little bit, answer some of your questions that you've sent in. Many thanks if you have sent in questions. What I love about the viewers' questions is that it sort of gets the stream going, gets me into a bit of a flow about, you know, thinking about the case and that sort of stuff. But yeah, they're just really helpful. You know, it doesn't matter how easy those questions are, how simple they are. It just gets things moving for the live stream. So yeah, thank you if you sent in a question. Much appreciated. Welcome to you, Dave Monday. Thanks for joining us this evening. Airzism, is that how you pronounce your name? Welcome to you, sir. Glad that you're here this evening. Sounds perfect, excellent. Jane O'Keefe, welcome to you. I see you in the comments section quite a lot. Glad you're joining us this evening. Steve West, many thanks for joining us, sir. Right, Joe Blue in the house. Got 45, excellent. Right, okay. Let's crack on with these viewers' questions. Do bear with me, I'm a little bit rustier with all this sort of stuff. Hopefully I can remember how to get this bloody picture off of here. There we go. Okay, let's have a look here then. What do we have? Right, yeah, we'll start with these questions. I've copy and pasted them all onto Notepad, so it should be a little bit easier to read. But I think we've got quite a few. Got about 12 or 13 questions, so yeah, should be pretty good. Anyway, let's start with the first question, which is from Daffy Duck. Welcome to you. After rereading Blogs 19, I did notice the author kept referring to Craig Rolfe's girlfriend as Diane rather than Donna, while all other names of the major players were the same. Any thoughts on why this was the case? I believe, now I'm not sure, but I believe that she was part of the witness protection scheme, so she had her name changed. I don't know about her daughter, but certainly Donna Jaggers is no more in that sense. So I believe she had her name changed. Possibly that's why it's also been changed in the book. Something to do with protecting her identity or something along those lines. That's probably why her original name wasn't given in the book Blogs 19. Bob's your uncle, long-term viewer of the channel, I believe. Oh God, what theory do you think is right or close? Looking forward to live stream. Now this is, God, the amount of questions I get, the amount of very similar questions. Who do you think did it? You must know who did it. What's your opinion? The thing is that I guess I was thinking about this question earlier, like how I'd respond to this question, because the way I tend to look at the case is that we don't have hardly, even half of the information available. I would say the actual information that we do have in terms of statements, the statements from the old site, etc. I'd say we probably have about 25% of the entirety of the documentation regarding the case. It's almost like, the way I can try and describe it is trying to put a puzzle together, but with only 25% of the pieces. So you can get sort of an idea in many different directions, but you can't quite form the whole puzzle, if that makes sense. So I've got loads of different theories, probably like you have at home, but there certainly isn't just one that sticks in my head as in, oh yeah, that person's definitely responsible. Michael Steele and Jack Holmes are definitely innocent. They had nothing to do with this. The only thing I've ever really stuck to regarding the case is the fact that I just don't believe that they were the people that actually pulled the trigger. And the only reason I say that is because of how the crime was committed, how quick it was. It was almost as if this person knew exactly what they were doing. Now, do you think that's reflected in Jack Holmes? Is that possible for someone who hasn't killed before to be waiting down that freezing cold lane with the adrenaline absolutely coursing through your veins, waiting for that Range Rover to reach the bottom of the lane, and to be able to pull it off in such a fast and meticulous manner? Not only that, but the shots behind the ear should also give an indication that that was done for a specific purpose, in my opinion. Now, as I say, many people have different views. Some people believe that they're definitely guilty, that Darren Nichols is telling the truth. There's nothing more to it than that, and anything else is just pure speculation. Other people believe they're completely innocent. I guess what I would say to that is I find it difficult to believe that they didn't have any involvement whatsoever, simply because their alibis are pretty terrible. Their alibis didn't appear till many months after the crime was committed, just before the court case. And I just find it a little bit bizarre, but I still, at the same time, I don't believe they pulled the trigger. And I think that's why I find this case so interesting, is that you might believe that they had some involvement, but to what level was that involvement? It's an interesting one. So basically, to actually answer your question, I don't know. We've got some more interesting questions as we go on, which may give you a little bit more of an indication as to where I lean, but we'll wait until those questions appear later on in the programme. Anyway, so we've got Slap and Tickle next. Have you talked about the story Nipper Ellis gave regarding his dad and how his dad got information about the drugs meat from Damon Alvin at the Supergrass in the Ricky Percival case? I'm not saying I believe the story, but would like to get your take on it. Yeah, I did. I did do a 40-minute video, I think, when that interview came out. I don't know actually what happened to that video. I don't think it's on the channel anymore. I think it's weird. I had two opinions. When I first saw the snippet of the video when he said at the end, my dad did it, but then he didn't go into any more detail. When I actually watched it, I thought, Christ, he actually looks like he's telling the truth. Like when you just hear that little snippet, the way it came across to me at least, and I'm no bloody expert, but the way it came across to me was that, Christ, this person's telling the truth. Right, can't wait for the next part. And then when he started going into the actual story, I just thought, no, it's just not right. And I guess the thing is, for me, when you spend so much time or so many years looking into a case, like, at the end of the day, you guys at home have got access to the same information that I have, and you've probably spent far longer than Stephen Ipareles has at looking at this case. So you probably know the ins and outs. Even if you watch the videos I make, you've still probably got a much better idea of what happened and what didn't happen on the night of December the 6th. So when someone comes out with a story, it's got to make sense. All the dots have got to connect. Otherwise, you're just going to think, nah, that's not quite right. That can't be right. And when he started telling the story about his dad being involved and how they were killed, how they were lured down there, I just had a feeling. I just thought, no, it's just not. It just isn't right. But as I say, I did make a video, but it doesn't appear to be on the channel anymore. And I don't actually know where it is. It's not on my computer. It's not on my phone. So, but yeah, to give you an overall picture, I just don't believe that it was. I just don't believe it was his dad or this guy who was supposed to be in the vehicle with him. Was it Damon Alvin or someone in those circles? Yeah, just don't buy into that. Mystic Arlet. Or was that supposed to be Mystic Alert? But we've got Mystic Arlet. Out of the three, which do you think is the main reason they got blasted? Do you think it was Tate being too out of control and someone wanted to put him to an end? Or Tucker's antics slowly catching up with him? Or even someone wanting revenge for Kevin's death? Again, you basically answer your own question in a way. There's so many different possibilities. I think, for me, what gives me the biggest clue is the fact that it's often portrayed that it's Tate. Tate's the motive. Tate was out of control. He's the person that they, arranged a meeting with that evening. But when you look at the telephone evidence, that doesn't seem to be the way that it happened. It seems to be, from what I can read and when you look at the telephone evidence, what it actually tells you is that Tucker received that phone call. It was Tucker who received the phone call. It's Tucker who has the undisclosed call at 5:07 p.m. with Michael Bowman. And Tucker was the head. Out of those three individuals, it appears, at least to me, that Tucker was the Mr. Big, if you will. Tate was the kind of the muscle. Rolfe was the kind of in-between character, and Tucker was the person, with the the brains of the outfit, if you will. So it depends which way you look at it. If it's Michael Steele, then you would lean a lot more towards, Michael Steele, the threats towards Michael Steele's life from Pat Tate. And you would say that Pat Tate most likely was the catalyst for the murders. But if you take Michael Steele and Jack Wome's, guilt out of it for one moment, the fact that they pulled the trigger and the motive was Michael Steele and the threats that he had received, then to me it opens up the possibility for Tucker to be involved. And I think oftentimes we also get a little bit tied up with the fact that it's portrayed that Tucker and Tate have this great relationship, everything's running smoothly. That's just certainly not the impression that I get when reading the statements. I think there's a lot of friction between these individuals at that time. It wouldn't even surprise me in the slightest if one of those individuals was in on it and they thought, okay, well, I'm going to lure Tucker or I'm going to lure Tate down here. I've been promised this if I can get them down there. And they've ended up all being shot. Anything's possible. But if I had to put my mind on it, I'd actually say it's more likely Tucker. I really would. I really would say it's more likely Tucker than Tate, mainly because of not so much the Leah Betts incident in a moral sense. A young girl's died. Outrage, blah blah blah. Not so much because of that, but because of how it affected everybody else. All the other drug dealers were under pressure because of what had happened regarding that tablet and her death. Everything was literally shut down overnight. Police were swarming the clubs. And I just think that the way that they conducted themselves, the way that Tucker conducted himself, put a lot of pressure on all three individuals. So, as I say, if I had to put money on it, I would say Tucker, but I certainly couldn't be, particularly sure. David Rock. I want to ask and find out, after the supposed time of death around 7 p.m, they were seen at the Fortune of War pub. The landlord or barman says that it was with a well-known person, but wouldn't say who it was. Quite simple. Whoever that was has links to the killing. Let's discuss who that person was. Right, we'll get into this question in a minute. I'm just going to read some of the chat out because we've got a few more people. I can't, once I'm reading these questions, I'm completely taken out of the chat. So I'll just say hello to a few people before we continue. Michael Wells, welcome. Ray, welcome to you. Londoner, thank you. Harvey White, welcome to you. Simon, thank you for joining us. Michael McDonald. Okay, and sorry, I didn't actually say this. God, bloody hell, feels like I'm a bloody amateur at this. If you need some guidance on the chat rules, that's in the video description box below. Just try and keep it respectful. You always do. I've actually put a subscriber chat on this evening, which should hopefully clean things up a little bit. But by and large, every live stream I've done, I haven't really had any problems in terms of the chat. But if you can just try and keep it, try to keep slander out of the box, or finger pointing, that sort of stuff, for people who aren't here to defend themselves. Okay, right. So back to that fortune of war. Now, a lot of people talk about this, and to be honest, I haven't really given it that much thought. The reason being is that it's one person's statement. Now, if we had 2 or 3 people coming forward saying that they saw them in that pub, then I might give a little bit more credibility to it. But it is a little bit weird, isn't it, though, when that guy says, so I looked through the newspaper and I saw this guy, it was definitely Craig Rolfe, but I can't remember what this other guy looked like at all. No description at all. Now, the only reason I could think that could be in terms, in an innocent sense, would be if this guy, I guess, was caught up in Craig Rolfe's behaviour, because I believe, remembering that statement, that Rolfe was getting annoyed because the barman said that he had to have his beer in a glass. Rolfe wanted it in a bottle. God, who has it in a glass? And there was a big fuss, and he said, these are the rules, blah, blah, blah. And I think the guy was a little bit scared of Rolfe. So whether that's just what's stuck in his head and he can't actually recall anything about the other guy. Maybe the other guy just, pissed off to a table or something. Who knows? So it could be literally as innocent as that. Or it could be that this guy recognised the other person and I think this is what you're alluding to here in your question. He didn't want to divulge anything about him. I can't say which one it is because I didn't give the statement. But why I don't give it that much credibility is that there's one person. It's not 2 or 3 people coming forward. I mean, obviously these statements may exist. I don't think we've got all the statements. No, actually, I know for a fact we haven't got all the statements concerning this case. So maybe there are more people from that pub who saw Rolfe that night. Again, what tells me that most likely this isn't possible is the fact that everyone else stops using their phone before 7 o'clock. But then again, Rolfe didn't have his mobile with him, did he? So I guess that's out of the question, that sort of explanation. Anyway, Lenny Russell, the legend. The legend has asked us a question here. Great news, crime scene dinner about the live version. 2 questions. What was in the holder in the Range Rover? And how did Mr. Dibley know exactly what had transpired within hours of the incident, with the prosecution following his statement virtually to letter? I always love your questions, Lenny. I said this earlier. You always ask some really thought-provoking questions. The first one I can't answer. What was in the holdall? It's interesting. I don't even think we have a picture of that holdall. We have a brief description of it, I think, in the summing up in court, possibly. But it's not really publicised that much about the holdall found in the Range Rover at all. I don't believe there's any photographs of it. They just said it was empty. As far as I'm aware, they said it was empty. So what was in it before? I think a lot of people speculate there was money in there was drugs in there. Whoever killed them took the drugs and disappeared. That's why it was empty. Why would you have an empty bag in your car? All of those things are valid, certainly valid questions. Next one is more intriguing and something that I've spoken about so many times in my videos. Mr. Dibley, how did he know exactly what had transpired within hours of the incident? Before we get into this, let's just have a sip of the old Jack Daniels, shall we? Because this might be, this might take us a few minutes to explain. So just give me a second. Right. This is one of my biggest sticking points with the case. Now, Blogs 19, if you haven't read it, definitely read it. Probably one of the best books I've read, only because I like this case, I suppose. But before I get into the question, what I like about Blogs 19 is, what I want people to remember is that when that was actually written, We didn't have that website. We didn't have all of this information out there, all of these statements. But it's actually like really incredibly factually correct, like in terms of statements and what was said and dates. You know, to me, it's really well written. And yeah, you know, when you think that guy who wrote it, Tony Thompson, he didn't know that all this information was going to be public knowledge. He could have spouted off a load of stuff that wasn't actually true. But what I'm impressed with the book Blogs 19 is the fact that it is very factually correct in terms of dates, statements, what was said, all that sort of stuff. But anyway, back to your question. In Blogs 19, it mentions that within 36 hours, Dibley knew who it was because Donna Jaggers had made a new statement saying that they were going to meet Mickey Steele, or Mickey the pilot, sorry. Dibley then wanders off, you know, on his lunch break to the police canteen, walks over to one of his colleagues and says, "Oh, do you know a Mickey the pilot?" "Oh, yeah, I do. That's Michael Steele." You know, wow, what a coincidence. And that's how the link is formed. It's not that Donna Jagger says, it's Mickey Steele. She says, "Oh, all I knew him as was Mickey the pilot." And then Dibley does his own investigation in the police canteen, supposedly, and they find out it's Mickey Steele incredibly early on. Now, what I find bizarre about that is the fact that then Donna Jagger's statement doesn't appear until March 96. Why? Why does it take that long? How is her statement so detailed as well? And I mentioned this in today's video that I released earlier on. The fact that she mentions like all the cars, the makes, the models, the colour. Like I don't think even I would know half the bloody cars that she mentions. A VW Corrado in white. He was about 6'3", you know, slender build, glasses. The bag was 3 foot long. Then we went here, then we went there. Then Craig told me, you know, God, it's like a bloody encyclopedia of crime. Reading her statement, it's so in depth. But why did it take 3 months for it to come out? If Dibley was told 36 hours after the 6th of December, or 7th of December, sorry, who did it, then why did it take all that time for her to give her actual statement? I just don't understand that. I really don't get it. Because her statement, now this is where it gets weird. Her statement and the release of her statement, the giving of that statement, seems to coincide with when she decides to give over the machine gun that she's got stashed in the loft. She gives over the machine gun. Next thing you know, she's got this story to tell. So there's that version. Then you also have Dibley appearing in newspapers saying, "We don't know, we have got no idea who did this. We've got no eyewitnesses. There's no one overlooking the crime scene, despite there being a massive house looking down on the lane. We didn't know where to go. The investigation was going nowhere. Nobody was speaking. Nobody close to the victims was speaking. So, you know, we were at a dead end, basically. So it can't be both, can it? But then when you read the newspaper articles again, then you get another version of events. Within about 3 days of the bodies being found, Dibley's already putting it out there in newspapers. Yeah, well, I think someone might have travelled down there in the Range Rover. And also, I bet there was someone also waiting down the lane. Oh yeah, but hang on a minute, there'll also be a getaway driver because they won't want to drive them. It's like he already knew 72. It's like they'd formulated how it was done, and then everything else was fitted around that. It's really bloody weird. It is. I mean, I don't know whether it's just bravado from a detective trying to say, you know, oh yeah, this was, you know, a detective, a bit of sort of genius detective work. You know, this is what I'm known for. This is what I do. I don't know if it was a bit of bravado from Dibley after the event, after they'd got the convictions, and he was saying, oh yeah, we knew all along. It was just about, you know, getting evidence. But then it makes you wonder, okay, so you knew 36 hours after the crime was committed, why didn't you swoop on Michael Steele then, when he may well still have the bloody murder weapon? Why would you leave someone who is a triple murderer out on the street and not start proper surveillance until months afterwards? Doesn't make any sense, does it? It's really bloody weird. Right, let's just catch up with the chat a minute. Why we're here. Hopefully we'll go for about an hour tonight. Bloody time flies, doesn't it? We've already done 25 minutes. Oh, God. Right, let's have a look. Also, yeah, if you wish to support the stream, you can find out how to do that in the video description box below. You can also use the super chat function or the thank you button, whichever you call it. Feel free to do that. Anyone who supports the channel will be given a shout out. Oh, I must do this before I forget. Members of the channel, I have to give a massive thank you to Julia Kenyon, Rebecca Nicholson, Mel Talbot, Scott Walker, Del Banham, Lenny Russell and Jeanette Mohan, members of the channel. If you wish to become a member of the channel, you can find out how to do that also in the video description box below. Moving on to the next question from Jack Walker. Strong name, sir. I believe that Jack Holmes and Mickey Steele are 100% innocent. If this is the case, oh, here we go. If this is the case, who do you believe committed the murders? Again, there's every possibility, and I've discussed this when I walk down the lane, and this is something that me and Mr. Roy have discussed at some length, and it's actually his idea, but I fully buy into this. The fact that there could literally be a mystery third party, and people who have looked into this case just can't put the pieces of the puzzle together, and it could be a case that no one really knows. It's someone who hasn't appeared in the statements. Is someone that isn't particularly well known or isn't, thrown out there in newspapers, that sort of stuff. It could be that Michael Steele and Jack Holmes had some level of involvement in terms of luring them down there for someone else. But yet, then again, who are those people? We don't really know, do we? All we know is that people who are in contact with Tucker, Tate and Rolfe leading up to their deaths, and that's about it. The thing is, there's so many people that they screwed over. So many people that would want them dead, and that's a very common statement from people looking into this case. Everybody wanted to cause some harm. But was this from some sort of syndicate, a crime syndicate? Someone from London? Who knows? It could be someone from London. It could be someone who they'd stolen money from. It could be literally anybody. It could be tied up with Leah Betts, for instance. Could be, as we've been told all along, Michael Steele and Jack Holmes. The thing is, I don't even know. I could not tell you one person who I actually think pulled the trigger. I just don't think the way the crime was committed, that's reflected in the characteristics of Michael Steele and Jack Holmes. I don't believe they would be physically and mentally capable of pulling it off the way it was. I mean, some people will say, well, it's easy, you just shoot a gun, but I don't follow that. I just don't follow that, belief. ATP, if it did happen at midnight, what do you think they were up to from 7 p.m? Could Billy Jasper's account be a half-truth and actually happened at 7 p.m, not midnight? It would give the gunman a false alibi. Yeah, this is something I've actually discussed with Essex True Crime. If you haven't followed his channel, I'm sure many of you watch his videos, do give him a subscribe. He covers the Essex Boys Case also. This is something I've discussed with him. Away from the channel, that it's not so much that I don't believe Billy Jasper, it's just that I don't believe they were killed at midnight. I just don't believe that. There's not one bit of evidence that I have seen personally that tells me that they were killed after 7 o'clock. For me, everything revolves around the location, the time they stopped using their phone calls, the fact that nobody is seeing them driving around after that time. Yeah, you might have one odd statement, but that needs to be corroborated with at least a couple of people seeing the same thing or something that's really in depth. But I just haven't seen that. Maybe other people have, and those statements haven't been released out into the public. I don't know. But everything from my perspective ties in with them being killed just before 7 o'clock. The fact that they shot there at that location until around 6:30. It tells you something when no one even heard the shots, because they're so used to hearing them on a Wednesday that it just went by the by for people that lived nearby. They just thought, well, they didn't think anything, did they? Didn't even. I think the farmer's wife heard one shot. Essex True Crime will be able to enlighten me about this, but I'm sure she heard one shot just before 7 o'clock, and that was it. There is reports of gunshots being heard at midnight. But he describes like a fusillade, if that's how you pronounce it, a fusillade of shots, which to me is more than just 3. That's like a barrage of shots. And then you could also say, okay, someone heard shots after midnight. Was that someone returning kind of nearby to the crime scene to let off a few shots to muddy the waters? I mean, that's not beyond the realms of possibility either, to be perfectly honest. Anderson da Silva, thank you for your question. Yes, I have a question. Thank you. Why won't Jack Holmes do an interview? As far as I'm aware, he's not eligible to do any sort of media, that sort of stuff. I think it's part of his licensing, his license stuff. Jeanette Mohan, member for 5 months. Thank you. We often butt heads, me and you, but yeah, I do enjoy your comments, Jeanette. It's very thought-provoking. We'll get to your question very shortly after I've read out the next one, which is from Catherine Gilgun. My interest lies with the jury. There was no forensic evidence. In the words of a Supergrass, given some credence, there was an imbalance with only 3 women on the jury. They took 4 days before they reached a verdict, so obviously a lot of disagreements. With an exhausting trial of 4 months and taking 4 days to reach a verdict, it reminds you of the film 12 Angry Men, where out of sheer weariness, they are making a decision under exhaustion. I've never done jury service or anything like that, so it'd be a little bit difficult for me to give any input on that. It's difficult, isn't it? I think what a lot of people struggle to believe. Let's just put yourself in the jury's position for one moment. Really, you believe one of 2 things here. Either the police are corrupt and they have fed a story to a person who's come forward and said, I was the getaway driver. Either you believe that the police are completely implicit in this and they've basically sown the seeds of this story together by themselves, and they've then imparted this into Darren Nichols. Either you believe that, or you believe they're guilty. And I think that's such a jump for a normal person off the street to believe. People don't want to believe that the police are corrupt. Especially imagine back in like 95 when even like the internet wasn't even a thing. Was it a thing? I don't think it was. But you couldn't really do your own research, could you? It was more of a I don't know, not stupid, but police corruption, all that sort of stuff wasn't, you couldn't do your own research on that sort of stuff back in those days. Would you be able to sit on a jury and think, hang on a minute, this detective's bent. This is all wrong, they've completely stitched these 2 men up. Even if you were, balanced on that edge of, I don't think they did it, but what's more probable? Their guilt or the fact that all of these officers, or at least a great deal of them in the Essex police, are all corrupt and they're trying to set up these 2 men. Is that what went through their mind? I don't think it was just as simple as, okay, these 2 people are definitely guilty. I think where they didn't help themselves is the fact that they went, not guilty on everything. Clearly they were drug importers, and I've discussed this at some length as well. I think the reason they did that is because even if they'd admitted the importation, they would have had the book thrown at them, I reckon. So they decided to go not guilty on the lot. Some people say, because they're clearly guilty of the importations, then they must be murderers. Look, they've lied, they must be murderers. But I don't buy into that either. Drug importation and cold-blooded murder are 2 completely different things. Excellent question, Jeanette. Thank you for that. How much credence can we give to Sarah Saunders' assertion that Pat Tate said he was with people during the 1844 call? The only person who backs this up is Darren Nichols. Yeah, this is such an awesome question. I've thought about this a lot, actually. Now, let's put yourself in Sarah Saunders' position. You meet up with Michael Steele on the 7th, I think it was, or the 8th, whatever it was. You go out for dinner. There's all this shock. Can't believe what's happened to Pat. When did you last see him? Well, I spoke to him on the phone, blah, blah. Now, I think there is... I don't want to say this, but I'm just going to say it because, it's how I feel. And it's what I think. I'll ask you the question. Is there the possibility that Sarah Saunders in her head thinks that it wasn't Steele, it wasn't Mick. He's not capable of this. But on the telephone call, Tater said, yeah, I'm with Mick at the moment. I mean, is that possible? Is it possible that Tater said exactly who he's with? And then Steele's thought, shit, well, obviously she's going to know that he's with me. Okay, let's meet up with her. Oh yeah, I saw him then. And then they went off somewhere else. Did he, is that possible? I think that is genuinely possible. It all seems very vague. Saunders, when you read her statement, you can put yourself in her position. She's got a young child. She's trying to balance that line between self-preservation and also not dropping anyone else in the shit at the same time. That's the way I read her statement. You know, did you know Steele's a drug importer? No idea. You know, she must have known a lot more of what was going on than what she let on in her police interview. So is it possible that on that call, Tate said something else than I'm with people? I think that's what you're trying to get at. And I think, yeah, that is absolutely possible, because she's trying to protect everybody in that situation. She's not just looking after herself, she's trying to look after someone, or look out for, I should say, someone potentially who she does not believe is capable of triple murder. So even if Tate said, yeah, I'm with Mick at the moment, she's not going to be in that police interview saying, oh yeah, he said he was with bloody Mickey Steele. Because if she doesn't believe he did it, she's not going to drop him in it either. So, yeah, who knows? Who knows what was said on that phone call? All we know is that bloody phone call lasted a lot longer than 30 seconds. I listened to Galactic's video, I don't know if it was yesterday, I think it was yesterday, Galactic 73, and he did a video, and I'm sure he said like the call lasted 2 minutes and 40 odd seconds. I think it was about that, and I thought it was even longer than that. But that phone call between Saunders and Tate lasted, let's say it lasted between 2 and 4 minutes. This wasn't a quick phone call with Tate saying, oh yeah, hi, sorry, I'm with some people at the moment, everything's fine, I'll speak to you tomorrow. That was not what happened in that phone call. The phone call was about 2 to 4 minutes long. It didn't just happen as they started going down the lane. They could have been on their way to the lane, they could have been sat down the lane, they could have been somewhere completely different. Tate could have even been on his own, who bloody knows? What I find weird is having that conversation, that telephone conversation, when you're with Tucker and Rolfe. Would you have a conversation with your girlfriend or whatever if you're two mate, like a 3 or 4 minute conversation? To me, that's just like, yeah, it's weird. It's bloody weird, very weird. Paul Cape Melbourne, welcome to you. Cool Tools, the legend. The legend. He's in the house. How you doing, Mr. Cool Tools? I've been seeing your comments on other videos. Chris Ferris, welcome to you. And Big Al, welcome to you, sir. Lutonian, long time viewer of the channel, welcome to you. Wonder where Cantonar's collar is. Matt Francis, welcome to you. Hope Cornwall is doing well. Pete Robertson. Dave Films in the house. Here he is. He's finished work and he's come to do a little bit of moderating for us. Thanks for that. 3 minutes. There we go. Mr. Roy, the fountain of knowledge. 3 minutes 46 seconds. I'm pretty sure that Galactic said it was 2 minutes 46, but yeah, 3 minutes 46 seconds. That phone call between Saunders and Tate, nearly 4 minutes. What the hell is being discussed in 4 minutes? Four bloody minutes. That's not just a phone call saying, oh hi, yeah, sorry about earlier. By the way, I'm with some people at the moment. I can't talk now. Speak to you later. What's that? 7 seconds? We're talking bloody 4 minutes. I do wonder what was said in that call. I really do. And I wonder if Tate was with Rolfe and Tucker at the time, but it just seems really weird. Oh, Fiona Marchant. Yeah, I've pronounced that right. Jack Holmes was found guilty of triple murder, has now been released very quietly. Michael Steele is still in prison. Why? Yeah, I find that quite weird as well. The fact that it has been very hush-hush, hasn't it, regarding Jack Holmes? I mean, if you went down the street and said, did you know that someone who was convicted of triple murder has been released from prison, I bet you like 99.5% out of 100 people would say, no, I had no idea. It has been very quiet. Michael Steele, I've been through this about 100 times. Jack Holmes, from what I've read, from most people's perceptions, was a role model prisoner. I think he learnt to read and write. In there, he helped teach fellow prisoners. He achieved a lot of city and guilds awards, that sort of stuff, and really sort of worked his way down from category A to open prison, then release. Whereas Michael Steele, I believe, has just sat on his hands basically, and he's always maintained his innocence, but he hasn't taken on board the programs. He hasn't really shown the fact, he hasn't shown any ability to further his own life, I suppose. I don't know if that sounds a bit harsh, or self-improvement or anything like that. I think he's just sort of kind of stuck his two fingers up to the prison system and said, I'm not guilty, the police are corrupt, and it just, in the long run, it hasn't done him much good. He's still a high security prisoner. And I genuinely don't believe that he's going to get out. I really don't. I mean, I might be wrong, but it's just a feeling. Christian O'Callaghan, thank you for your question. Should we be looking at Bird and Stimpson? Now, this is what I mean when referring to we have 25% of a puzzle and it's like trying to create the whole picture. The Bird and Stimpson thing is fascinating because I'm not convinced at all that I'm not convinced that Darren Nichols struck up this relationship with DC Bird after the murders. I think there's every possibility that he was a police informant before that time. I've got no proof of that, but all we have is Darren Nichols' word saying, oh yeah, these triple murders happened, and then conveniently I become a police informer a few weeks later. Really? Okay. Who knows? But we don't know to what depths Bird and Stimpson were involved in terms of other criminals. They clearly, according to the book Blogs 19, they had other criminals on their book. He used to play them off against one another, get information from one another, stir stuff up, create infighting between certain gangs, that sort of stuff. So, to what depth does that relationship go between Nichols and Bird? How long did it go on for? They were even planning on stealing like £150,000 out of Steele's car. Bird knew where Steele kept his stuff. And we just, as I say, we don't know. We haven't got all the transcripts of the telephone calls between Nichols and Bird. We don't, all the meetings, all the sort of stuff, between the courts and Bird was all kept behind closed doors. I don't even think John Wilmes was allowed to go to the hearings, that sort of stuff. It was all very hush-hush. They were pensioned off. And that was the end of it. But we don't know, do we? It's like, how do you create a picture without any information or with just a snippet? We have like a couple of transcripts of telephone calls, but that's it. That's all you're left with. The rest is like your imagination, possibilities. Yes, it's difficult. Rich G, a welcome to you. Wolfgang Bird. Yeah, is a strong name. Right, let's just have a quick sip of the old Jack Daniels. It's getting to room temperature now because I'm talking too much. Hopefully, as I say, we'll do another live stream on Saturday, I hope. Let me know if you guys are around on Saturday. Probably the same time, like 8 PM, that sort of time. Right. Okay. As I said, I don't know if I'll do this for Saturday, but what I did have and what I received was a really, really good email from a viewer of the channel, long-term viewer of the channel. I'm not going to say his name because I said I'd keep it private, but I haven't even read it all yet. But I've got a massive, massive long email of different possibilities of how this crime was committed, why it was committed, the motive for the murders. And as I say, either I'll create a separate video to that, or I will read this out to you on stream on Saturday. I haven't decided yet exactly what I'm going to do. Chris Ferris, thank you, sir. I'm not as good as you think I am, trust me. Oh dear. Interesting. Jeanette says, factual error in the previous question from Catherine Gilgan, who stated that the jury was imbalanced because only 3 women were on it. There were in fact 8 women on the jury. Another interesting thing though about the jury situation is that you also had that potential jury intimidation. I think I did a video about this quite a long time ago. But the Wilmes family, Jack Wilmes' mum, I think John Wilmes, who else is it? What are they bloody called? The people that write things in the newspaper. Journalists, that's it. A journalist. They were waiting for a train, and some of the jurors were waiting to get on, and there's this sort of intimidation thing going on, supposedly. And this was made into such a big deal, where the police were giving statements. Who bloody knows? Maybe the police were, exaggerating what was happening. It maybe even making the jurors feel fearful. Who knows? Or would they have been that stupid or that bloody naive to try and intimidate the jury? I mean, would you do that? If your son, if your brother was facing, facing potential life imprisonment, would you be intimidating jurors like that? I don't know. Really don't know. Lutonian. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, I'm definitely up for a Saturday stream. That'd be cool. Mystic Ireland. Is that supposed to be Mystic Alert? Do tell me. Love the vids. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Or lady. Michael Garland. Yeah, thanks for your input, sir. I think someone said I called you Michael Garden or something. No, Michael Garland. I was right the first time. Okay, let's just have a quick check on here. Right, also what I've got, which I probably won't read out tonight, we'll leave this, we'll keep the stream going for a few more minutes, and what I will do next time, I've done this before, I've gone through the summing up in court, but I noticed that I still have it on my computer here somewhere. Yeah, the summing up in court document. I don't think we definitely didn't finish this. Yeah, I might take a look at that, because obviously we lost, we lost all of the live streams from the previous channel when it was taken down last time, so we don't have any of that stuff to go back. And I'm trying to think of what I actually did. I know I did a lot of viewers' question stuff. I read out quite a lot of the statements, potentially. I do want to go over that one with the man with the balaclava, though. I realise that one's not on my... For some reason, that's not on my videos. I don't know where that one's gone either. If you do see videos popping up that you believe you've seen before, you will have done. A lot of times I'm getting stuff from the old channel. I have to re-edit it all, re-edit the photos, and then re-upload it onto the new channel, obviously, because I don't have access to the old channel anymore. It's just stuff that I've got in USB sticks. But I really do want to go back over that guy who was seen wearing the balaclava running across one of the fields, because I haven't got that video. I've got the guy who was seen in the van or whatever coming out of the lane. I've got the guy on the hill with the white BMW. I've done those videos, but I can't find the one with the guy with the bloody balaclava. RIP original channel. Yes, a sad day. But we're not doing too bad. Hit 13,000 subscribers today, so yeah. Will this live be still up? Yes, it will, Rich. It will be live, not live, it will be uploaded as soon as the live stream's finished. You give it 5 or 10 minutes, maybe 20, and this video will be, it'll be live, so that's all good. Hello, Ryan, welcome to you. Quickly before we continue, just again, I just want to say a massive thank you to Julia Kenyon, Rebecca Nicholson, Mel Talbot, Scott Walker, Del Banham, Lenny Russell and Jeanette Mohan for becoming members of the channel. If you wish to become a member yourself, you can find out how to do that in the video description box below. Or if you wish to support the stream and the channel, you can also find out how to do that in the description box below. Ian Green, welcome to you. Roger the Dodger. Why did it get taken down? Let's not go into that. Copyright stuff from a picture that was like 25 years old. That I cut someone out of, basically. Yeah, it was just a shit show, really. Let's have a look. Michael Wells, the lack of footprints is very strange also, do you think? Yeah, again, when you look into this case, the way I perceive it is that you have a lot of little pieces of information which lead you somewhere, but then you equally have something that tells you the opposite. And that's what I try and do when I look at the case. If I have an idea, a theory, whatever, okay, I have a theory, but the first thing I do is try and think of something which might potentially counteract that. And so then we look at okay, there's not many footprints. Was there a second? What could explain that? Okay, a second vehicle. Right, okay, but we don't have any tyre tracks of a second vehicle. Okay, but then did the Land Rover, the farmers were driving, did that drive over the tracks? There's so many different possibilities. One of the things that I find really interesting is the white vehicle. I've always found this really interesting, and I don't believe this is a coincidence. The white vehicle that was seen with a Range Rover turning into White House Farm, where they were almost following each other off the Rettendon Turnpike down to White House Farm. They both pulled in towards to the parking area, did a big circle, back onto the main road and then turned left towards the lane. But then where did the white car go? It's like so many things lead you to somewhere, but then there's no like definitive answer at all. But then then you talk about Darren Nichols. The fact that apparently the vehicle that he was driving had 4 different makes of tyre on it. Yet not one of those brands of tyres, not one of those tread patterns, 4 different tread patterns, not one of them's found at the beginning of the lane. What I do find interesting though, this is something I was going to bring up, is this following photograph. Let's find it a minute. Oh, this is interesting as well. Not many people would have seen this. This is when the lane was being redone. I'm not sure which year this was. Essex True Crime might be able to chip in and let me know. I'm sure he provided me with these. But yeah, this is when it was all being widened and tarmacked. So yeah, it's quite interesting considering how different it looks now. But this was, I guess, towards the end of the renovation of the lane. I guess many of you guys listening to this or watching this video haven't been down the lane, and I think obviously Dave's films. I always say Dave's. I don't know why. Dave Films has been down there and done some extensive filming, but just the impression I got when I went there was just kind of underwhelming because it's just so unrecognisable compared to what it was back in '95 when you see all the crime scene photographs and stuff. But yeah, this was the beginnings of changing the lane. Yeah, quite interesting actually. But yeah, the photograph I'm looking for, oh yeah, there goes a view. Because now obviously here they've got all the memorial, haven't they? Southend Guy Paranormal did a really good video walking around all this area. I think it might be there now. I thought it was a bit further up, but yeah, they've got these little cabins with war memorabilia in. So yeah, if anyone's in that area, if you ever do visit there, obviously do be respectful. But they've got a lot of stuff regarding the wars, and as I say, memorabilia in little cabins there, which is open to the public as far as I'm aware. So just trying to find this photograph anyway. Yeah, let's have a look here. It'd be easy if I did this. Right, yeah, there's this one here. I think old LWD, back when he did his videos many moons ago, looked at this. Are these these tracks that you have there? It does make me wonder what they were. I mean, is that just some sort of first responding vehicle? Is it? But then why have they taken photographs of it? But then they don't have the yellow markers. Is this just from a first responding vehicle that's parked up on the side? But that, to me, that looks like a bit, actually, thinking about it, could that be the Land Rover tyre? Because didn't Jiggins say that he was going to park at the end of the lane? I don't know. These tracks have always interested me. What was there another vehicle that just stopped at this part of the lane, but then there's no eyewitness accounts of that? I have heard rumours though that we're going to hear at some point a statement from someone who lives on Meadow Road who saw a Passat waiting outside their house. I'm sure that's what Essex True Crime told me. Let's have a look here. Cavan Gillespie. If I pronounce that right, is it pronounced Cavan Gillespie? Do you think Pat would have had any chance to escape? No. What I find really interesting about the shot to Tate's abdomen, and this is something I've discussed with Mr. Roy, Mr. R, quite extensively, is the manner in which the gunman behaved. This wasn't like open the door, bang, bang, bang. This wasn't like pure bloody chaos. This was simply bang, incapacitated him, dead, whatever. And then there's been like a moment in time where the gunman hasn't panicked. They haven't thought, okay, I've shot Tate in the stomach, but he could escape. He's already known when he shot him that he's not going anywhere. He's incapacitated. And he's then walked around the front of the vehicle. This takes like a level of, a level of consciousness to not go completely ballistic. Everything's very, very heightened in that moment. Adrenaline is going crazy. You want to make sure that no one's getting out of there. No one's going to be shouting and screaming, whatever. He knows. Once he's shot him in the abdomen, something in him has told him he's incapacitated. So he calmly walks around the front of the Range Rover, then takes aim again at Tate's head. Maybe because, let's just find the picture of the Range Rover quickly. Maybe because this side of the vehicle is quite tight into the bushes there. Maybe he's realised, actually I can't get around there fully because it's too tight or whatever. But he's calmly walked around the front of the vehicle, then taken aim at Tate, fired and just grazed the top of his head, then walked closer and put the gun up against his head and killed him. But there's like a level of presence of mind there. This isn't chaotic. This isn't what I would imagine a first-time killer, how that person would behave. To me it would be a bit more frantic. It wouldn't just be one shot to the abdomen, okay, they're definitely not going anywhere. It would be, okay, he's not going anywhere for this second, shoot the other two. You don't want the bloody vehicle driving off. You kill the driver, you kill the person, so he can't take over the wheel, whatever. But would you really have the presence of mind to calmly walk around the front of the vehicle and take aim at that person? To me, it just shows a level of expertise somewhere down the line. As I say, I could be wrong. It could be Michael Steele and Jack Holmes. Who knows? But in my mind, little details like that are quite important, actually. Right. Let's have a look here. NP Dogs UK, thank you for your question. Many thanks for joining us this evening. Good to see you. The research and etc. you've done on this case, hats off to you. Have you ever covered any other murders? Many thanks, Neil. Thanks, Neil. I'll tell you, my next case that I'm gripped by, and potentially even more gripped in this case, is that Delphi one in America. But I just don't have the time. I really, really want to do a video based on the Delphi murders. If you haven't checked that out, I don't think that video is on the channel anymore. It was one I covered very briefly on my last channel. But definitely Google or put on YouTube the Delphi murders. There's just something about that case that really grips me. I don't really know what it is. I really do want to make a video on that case and what my thoughts and feelings are regarding that. And I'll save what my opinions are on that for a little while, because I'm hopefully going to get a video out to you in the next week or so based on the Delphi murders. But yeah, the Delphi murders is just really, really fascinating. Basically, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's like a small town of about 3,000 people in Indiana. 2 young girls got murdered. They went out for a walk on their day off from school. They got the guy who killed them on their phone, a video of him walking towards them. They got his voice. And I think it was like 2017 this happened, and they still haven't arrested anybody. It's so bloody weird, really, really odd. Let's have a look. Matt Francis, Linda, oh God, what was her name again? Essex True Crime, Linda Millard, that's it. I was going to say Essex True Crime, help me out, the encyclopedia. Yeah, Linda Millard. That's another very interesting case, and I think the stuff that I've thought about regarding that is we don't really know what her state of mind was. We don't really know enough about Linda the person to make any sort of real firm judgments. To me, it's very, very odd, obviously, and I think to a lot of people who read her statements, read her story, will find it incredibly odd, very, very bizarre that this woman heard these phone calls from her then boyfriend discussing the murders. She then leaves. He follows her at some point, tracks her down. She goes missing, near Portishead. But then I think to myself, what state of mind was Linda in? Does she have any mental health issues, previous mental health issues, that sort of stuff? We don't really have a background to really go on. Was she a completely normal and sane, rational person? In which case, that would certainly lend a lot more credibility to her story. But like a lot of things with this case, you've only got to look at watch my video I did today, the Michael Bowman one. The fact that the police, they sort of go around the fringes of the important questions in this case, but it's like they don't really care. You know, Michael Bowman, a person who spoke to one of those individuals just probably about 2 hours before they were killed. Someone who's got previous convictions for firearms. They're found at a gun club. This guy's admitted to being in the Range Rover. He's ringing their bloody phones on the evening of their deaths. But they don't care. They don't care. They do like a 1 or 2 hour interview. They are, when did you last speak to them? I'm not answering any more questions. Okay, then off you go then. Goodbye. That's it. End of story. Don't even ask him about the fact that he's in Donna Jagger's statement. He was supposed to be. So that, okay, let's just say that the story is correct. Michael Steele, Jack Williams are guilty. There's this consignment that's coming in. Michael Steele is, luring them down there, blah, blah, blah. Tate, Tucker and Rolfe have asked Bowman to cut the coke up for them. So no matter how you look at this, Bowman was more involved. Whichever way you look at it. Even if Michael Steele and Jack Williams are guilty, he is more involved because he was the person that was going to cut the stuff up for them. Is that the reason he was ringing them? Because he was expecting them to turn up? Where the bloody hell were Tucker, Tate and Rolfe with this gear? Next thing he knows, they've been shot dead. I mean, he could be completely innocent in terms of that. But why is there... They don't even mention this in his police interview, sorry. They don't even question him about the fact that he was supposed to be the person that cuts the stuff up. All they talk about is the machine gun briefly. No, I didn't do it. No, I wasn't there. It's a load of rubbish. I just went and sold my car. Oh, okay then. So when did you last talk to them? Oh, a few days ago. No, well, there's a 5:07 p.m. undisclosed phone call that they don't even question him about. They don't question him about the fact that he's left voicemails on their phone with his own bloody phone number. It's almost like they've got to be seen to be doing, but they don't actually go anywhere with it. It's like and that's how that's almost related to the Linda Millard thing. Okay, this woman's she's dead, most likely. Oh, okay, she probably just committed suicide. Don't worry about looking into this man. We already kind of know who it is. But did they? Did they really know? Did they know at that time who it was? I don't know. And even if they did, would you not be open to the bloody possibility that this man is working with them? Maybe? No? Yes? I don't know. Who knows? Right. What happened to Craig's phone? I think he left it at home, didn't he? The whole bloody thing's weird. To have like a real... For anyone to say, really, this person did it, this person... Christ. You've got to have some conviction about it, I tell you, because there's so much stuff that sounds like a total load of rubbish. The fact that Donna Jagger says, oh yeah, I'm going to Lakeside Shopping Centre, buy yourself something new to wear. Like, God, it's like something off of EastEnders. Like, really? Did that really happen? Like, how are you going to get home? Who was looking after your daughter at that time? Where's that in her bloody statement? Who was looking after your daughter when you went to Lakeside? Doesn't even appear in the statement, does it? What happened after you got out of Lakeside? Then you realised that no one was going to be picking you up. Did you get a bus home? Nothing. Why? What? It's so bloody weird. The whole thing's weird. Right. Okay. Right, we're going to leave this one here for this evening, guys. We have gone over 1 hour. I just wanted to do a 1 hour test stream. We're going to be back on Saturday, all being well, at 8 p.m. I will put up an announcement for that. Can I just say, though, please, 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 everybody who's watching here, no matter how simple your question is, when I put up the next post or the next announcement, please do leave a question if you can, or your own thoughts and theories so I can possibly look at that, challenge what you're thinking, that sort of stuff. Any sort of questions do massively help the duration of the stream. The more questions that we have, the longer the streams can be. Because I know, it's great to get you guys involved as well. Before I go, obviously, as well, if you wish to support the stream, you can find out how to do that in the comments, the video description box below. A massive thank you has to go to Essex True Crime and Mr. R, Mr. Roy, the legend, for moderating tonight's chat. Without these two guys, it would not be possible, because I wouldn't be able to do it myself. But as I say, we'll be back on Saturday, all being well, at 8 p.m. I will put up an announcement for that. And, you know, without you guys being here, there wouldn't be a stream. So thank you so much for your continued support. You know, it's greatly appreciated. And I will look forward to seeing you all again on Saturday. Hopefully, all being well, there'll be a new video out tomorrow, which you can check out around 6 or 7 p.m. And yeah, do check out that Delphi case. I'm sure any fans of true crime out there will love to look into that. Get your teeth stuck into that, and I'll see you all again, all being well, on Saturday. As I say, new video out tomorrow. Take care, guys. Thanks for joining me.